morning, depending on where you are today. So thank you for joining us today for our discussion around finance careers and the return on investment associated with finance careers. So to kick off, I want to talk just a little bit about the career options associated with finance and our Master in Finance program. And then after that, we have a distinguished panel of alumni with diverse backgrounds in finance that will give you more flavor about what they're doing and what types of roles, what types of companies they joined after ESSEC as well. So to kick off, Miko, could you show the slide, please? Okay, thank you very much, Miko. So one thing that's really exciting about finance is it really opens up the door to a lot of opportunities, diverse opportunities. And I think sometimes people may think a bank finance, but within a bank, for example, there are many different types of roles. And then when you go beyond that, whether it's insurance, whether it's private equity, VC, there's really quite a number of different roles with different skills and different environments that are available after somebody completes a Master in Finance degree. So the slide I'm showing here, it's far from perfect because some of these roles can kind of stagger between front office, middle office, and back office. But it was just a rough attempt to just show the variety of the types of roles that are available within finance. And so I'm not going to read each one of them, but you get the idea. So front office obviously is customer facing, very close to the client. So whether it's sales or mergers and acquisitions, for example, security services, just to name a few, right? So each of these are very distinct roles. But again, front office types of roles. And then when you get to middle office, so whether it's trading, structured finance as well. So obviously maybe not directly with client, but not that far away either, right? So they will work close with front office and usually supporting their activities. And then back office tends to be more of the support functions as well. However, sometimes the research analyst will go to the client meeting as well, right? So that's why I say there's some blending of these different types of opportunities. But this was really just to give you an idea that there are really a lot of different options available after you complete your Master in Finance. One thing that I didn't show here is obviously fintech, which is a very hot area within the finance ranks now, right? So whether you're trying to automate research, whether you're trying to automate or make payments seamless and cheaper, basically, like most industries, technology is really disrupting the entire industry and quite a variety of these roles as well. And so obviously we have a fintech focus as well within our particular programs as well. So more than anything, this is just to give you a general overview, an idea that there are quite a wide variety of jobs that are out there. I think you'll see this even better when we get to the panel because they each have very distinct roles. Miko, so I'm going to move on to the panel now. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so today I'm going to just do a very brief introduction, but I think it's going to be easier for each of our panelists to talk a bit about themselves more. But just to kick it off, so happy today to have Siva, Associate Director of Capital Market Solutions at Standard Chartered, Don, who's FX rates sales at BNP Paribas, and Menglin, who's investment manager at Prime Capital AG. So I'd like to welcome all of you today and thank you for being here. So just to kick things off, I'd like you to introduce yourself in more detail and really tell us a bit, since I was talking about the variety of roles that are available out there, I'd like you to talk a bit about what you're currently doing, your current role and your company as well. And where are you physically located as well, your geographic base. I think just to kick it off, I'd like to go, I'm just looking at my screen. Menglin, would you like to kick it off, please, and talk a bit about investment manager?
Sure, happy to do so. So my name is Menglin. I am located in Frankfurt in Europe. I'm an asset management let's say, a company, and the company is very specialized in alternative asset management, and I'm an investment manager in the company. So my role would cover identification of the investment opportunities and the structuring the transaction, execute the transaction, and take, how to say, bring over the transaction as smoothly as possible to my asset management colleagues. So that's a very brief summary of my role in the company.
Okay, great, thank you. Siva, would you like to go next?
Sure. So I'm Siva, and I'm working Standard Chartered in Hong Kong. So I work in investment banking and structured products. So what I do is I create different sets of products, and then we list it on exchanges for the end user to go on and purchase them. So that's essentially my role. A lot of heavy structuring, a lot of technical things, which came in very handy when we studied everything in ESSEC. So that's essentially me, and I'm working right now in Hong Kong. But I'm working in a global team, so I get to cover a lot of assets, in the US, in London, and pretty much Asia as well. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Dan, can you go next, please?
Sure. So I'm a graduate of Master in Finance in 2019, and currently I'm working in BNP Paribas as a rates and FX sales. So every day I'm working on a trading floor where it's quite bustling, and you get to know about what's going on in the markets, and I help clients to do their, for example, like FX hedging, or they need to purchasing any financial derivatives. They will come directly to me, and I will provide them the service with the market colors. So all in all, it's quite I would say it's a quite fast-paced environment, but you get very fulfilled at the end of the day, because a lot of things happening in a day, and you keep up with what's going on in the world. So it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Okay, great. And last but not least, I want to welcome Till, who's here, markets graduate analyst from Citi. Till, welcome. Could you tell us a bit about your current role, what you're working on, and your company and location as well, please?
Yeah, sure. So hello, everyone. It's good to see you again. So my name is Till. I'm French, and I graduated from ESSEC Business School 2 years ago, so in 2019. So basically, I did the financial markets track in Singapore. So now I'm currently working in London at Citibank, so in sales and trading. So basically, I joined Citi just after ESSEC. So in 2019, I did the summer internship program. So it was a 10 weeks rotational program, and I received a full-time offer to join as a graduate program in 2020. So I'm now, in the graduate program, it's a 2 years program where we have to do 4 rotations of 10 weeks and a 1 year placement. So I already rotated in equity delta 1 trading, in QIS structuring. So now I'm working in commodity derivative solutions. And in 3 weeks, I will join my last rotation. So it will be in emerging market FX trading. So thanks for this invitation. And if you have any question, I'm more than happy to answer.
So real quick, Till, do you know what your final role is going to be when you finish the program?
So my final role it could be one of my 4 rotations. So it could be a rotation where I did during this graduate program, but it can also be any other desk if I got an opportunity. So it's very flexible, like we have a broad exposure to all asset classes, to different functions. And at the end, normally we are supposed to join a desk where we did a rotation during this program. But I still don't know.
Okay, great. Okay, so next question, because I think a lot of our audience is thinking about whether a master in finance is right for them, whether ESSEC is the right place to get a master in finance as well. So I'd like to ask each of you if you can maybe tell me why you chose to get a master in finance degree. What was that thought process? And then maybe why did you choose ESSEC? Because obviously everybody that's evaluating usually looks at maybe 2, 3, 4 schools. So maybe your thought process and how you picked ESSEC as well. Now, I'm going to trip you up a bit. I'm going to mix up the order a little bit as we go through the questions. That way we're not always going through the same cycle. So Siva, why don't you kick off and tell us a bit, why did you decide to get a finance degree and why did you choose ESSEC?
Sure, pleasure. So when I was deciding which school I wanted to go for, the key criteria for me was to pick up as much of technical knowledge. That was the main reason why I wanted to do a master's in finance, because my background was business administration, so that was more generalist. And now I wanted to learn, all the technical skills. And before that, I was already working for about 3 years, but that was more in a sales and distribution role. So I knew that to advance my career, that was the logical next step. And so my thought was to find a technical school. That was number one, and the school that could propel me to the next level as well in terms of a new country, a new sector and so on. So that was the mindset going in. And of course, as Larry said, it narrowed it down to 2 or 3 schools, and then I realized that ESSEC's program was very rigorous. And I can tell you, after going through the program, it is extremely rigorous and it is very comprehensive. So that's one of the good things I think ESSEC has, because it's able to blend 2 worlds really nicely together, financial markets as well as the investment banking track. And I think now they even have the asset management track as well, right? So they were able to blend it and allow you to choose and mature, because I don't think everyone's fully aware when they start the program what exactly they want to do. And so you get a little bit of a flavor in the first few months, and once you firm up your idea, you could then go down a track. So for me, I knew I wanted to do financial markets because that was where all the technical bits were. And I went down that track, even before I joined the school, I knew it. So, everything was geared up when I joined the program. And that's how I ended up in ESSEC and chose my specialty.
Okay, great. Thank you. Don, can you tell us why you chose finance and why you chose ESSEC?
Sure. I think my thought process is pretty similar to Siva's. So I also actually worked for 3 years before I joined this program. And at that time, I knew that my last job was not something that I would pursue for my rest of my career. So I was thinking about a career switch to get something into the core of the financial industry. So I get to approach the alumni from the ESSEC Business Schools, and they share a lot of insights of the program with me. And I also look at the curriculum. It covers a wide variety of financial topics. So you get exposed to different aspects of the financial industry. And you, because at first I didn't really know what's the final, maybe I want to do sales and trading or I want to do asset management. I have no idea on it. So I think looking at the program, the curriculum, it offers you the opportunities to get to know the insights of these different topics. So, and at the end, I think also conveniently, it has a Singapore campus. So, and it also has a global presence in Europe. And I believe there's also a campus in Africa. So it offers a great opportunity to locate around the world. So yeah, that's why I end up joining the master program in ESSEC.
Okay, thank you. Till, why don't you go next, please?
Yes, so for me, before joining ESSEC, I was doing a master in economics and financial engineering in France. So I already knew that I wanted to work in financial markets because I already did some previous internships in sales and trading. So I knew that at that time, ESSEC was one leading business school for financial studies. And also I already knew that I really wanted to get a summer internship to get a full-time offer in finance because it was the easiest way to secure a job in finance. So I did a bit of research and I realized that the MIF program can significantly increase your chance of getting a summer internship, because if we are just checking alumni or people on LinkedIn, we can see that there is a high chance to convert it into a summer internship before the end of the program. Also, honestly, I was very interested about all the different tracks that offers ESSEC and all the different courses that we had in this Master of Finance. And I think that I was very, very interested about Asian financial markets, and the fact that we had a campus in Singapore was for me the perfect match, because I was able to follow some advanced financial courses in Singapore, which is I think one of the top places to study finance. So I was pretty happy to be able to study in this campus of Singapore.
Just real quick, how did you make the decision for Singapore versus going to Sergi?
Honestly, for me, as I already studied finance in France, if I decided to continue and to do another program in finance, for me it was very important to do something abroad, not in France, and to get an international exposure in another country. And as I said, I was very interested about Asian countries and Asian financial markets. So I think it's the main reasons I checked all the master program in Hong Kong and in Singapore. So for me, it was, the perfect match.
Okay, great. And last but not least, Menglin.
Hi, so I think studying in ESSEC is one of the very best private investment I have made. I actually studied in Sergi. When I joined ESSEC, I think it was not yet emerged of the two different tracks. So we have this master in finance, which is much more focused on financial markets, and we have another one, basically, that is a corporate finance track. So before joining ESSEC, I had some exchange experience in Europe, and my background was in accounting. I had an offer from Big Four very early on, and I knew that's not something I would like to do. I would like to get into a more dynamic area, and also due to my background in accounting, I decided to go for corporate finance track. I have done quite some internships, but I never really worked before I joined ESSEC. So I would say knowing where exactly I would like to go, at least the area, is one of the reasons that I chose ESSEC. Also because I think ESSEC is very reputable in Europe in general. You have a lot of alumni in London, in even Germany and Switzerland. So my colleagues are also, some of them are from ESSEC, even in Germany. So it's a very well positioned and very reputable business school in general in Europe. So these two, I think, are the reasons. And I would say another minor reason would be I didn't really want to go into a GE program. And because I also had a master before already, and I didn't really want to spend time and energy on some basic management courses. So I specifically chose this program.
Okay, great. And something I wanted to ask you earlier, and I forgot, is did you intentionally target Germany? Was that your target market to get a job? Was it? And why? Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
It's due to private reasons. So
okay.
I have also applied to some, I would say, positions, not specifically in London, actually, but in continental Europe. And I think this one is something really interesting and something that is fulfilling, because we are specialized in green energy infrastructure investment. So, it's something quite private, quite personal. I would like to contribute to a greener world, and I find this very fulfilling.
Oh, that's wonderful. And to be honest with you, we see that a lot now with students, and actually a lot of the guest speakers now. There's obviously a real focus on green funding, green finance, et cetera. So I don't know if that was the case when you were going through the program or not.
I think that was not specifically targeted in our program, but nowadays, it's becoming more and more well known and popular. And I really hope a lot of audience watching this right now could also devote yourself into this transition of the world, hopefully into somewhere better.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so my next question is around, sorry, it's part of being a career coach is because it's all about skills at the end of the day, right? Most of the time when you're looking for a position. So I'd like to ask you, what skills do you think you picked up during the program? Some of you pivoted, some of you sort of grew into an area you were already looking at as well. But what type of skills did you pick up that helped you get to the position that you're at today? And Till, why don't you go first this time and talk about, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 skills that you really think you picked up or you fine-tuned during the program that really helped you?
Yes, sure. So, as I said, I was following the financial markets track in Singapore. So, to be honest, like in this program, we have some very advanced courses in financial markets. So, for instance, we had some courses in advanced option, in econometrics, in commodities, in fixed income. But we also had some really interesting courses in Python, in VBA. So I think on the programming skills, like it was super useful because all of these courses and all that we follow during this program were quite useful to work like in sales and trading in a training floor. So I think it was something that was very useful for me, and especially when you're doing like a short-term program like a summer internship. So you only have 10 weeks to secure a job at the end. So I think if you already have some good financial knowledge and you have some good tools to be able to develop some stuff for your desk, it can be extremely useful to make the difference. Also, I think that one of the skills that I developed during this program, I think it was super interesting to be in a multicultural and international environment at ESSEC, and I think it's quite similar to the environment of a training floor in an investment banking. So I think you can develop some super important skills like being able to work in a team, doing some group projects, but also being able to develop, for instance, your communication skills, being more open-minded. So I think, when I started my job, it was very useful, like to be a bit technical, but also to know how to work with different people coming from different backgrounds. It was a super important skills for finance.
Okay, great. So both the technical and the soft skills.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So Menglin, I'm going to bounce back to you now just to mix the order up again.
Sure.
You mentioned several times about coming from the accounting background, and obviously touch points with accounting and finance, but it wasn't what you were looking for. So maybe talk about, did you build on maybe some things that you learned from accounting, or was it completely different skill sets that you picked up during the program?
Yeah, sure. So I definitely think accounting is a very good foundation for corporate finance. Yeah. And in ESSEC, I mean, it's a comparatively short program, right? I mean, for good and for bad. For me, it's more suitable. I think I have picked up a lot of real world cases in ESSEC. It really gives you insights into what positions there could be and what people are doing, what a private equity real case could look like. I think these information I only obtained in ESSEC, and as Till mentioned, it really gives you a very good platform where you can meet very diverse background people, and you really meet very inspirational and interesting people from the world. And I think that also helps you to become more adaptable when you go into working environments. You know how to react, you know how to cooperate with other people. I think that is more noticeable for me during my program.
Okay, great. Siva, can you maybe share with us what did you pick up that you helped you get the job that you currently have?
Sure. So for me, because I work in a very specialized sector, which is highly structured products, right? So for that, the whole technical part is very is essential in coming into it. So for me, the biggest thing I learned in ESSEC was the framing of your mind. How do you approach a problem and how do you solve it? And that cuts across all modules, all subjects, regardless if you're, in corporate finance or if you're financial markets. I think that's the setting that comes in, and that you can apply that to your job. And when you come in and you look at any problem that you have, you're able to cut through everything and just come up with a solution so fast. And, sometimes it amazes people. People have been on a job for 10 years and, you're able to cut through and give them a solution they never ever thought of. So these are the things. And, I agree with Till as well. I did know programming before joining the course, and coming out of the course, definitely I learned a lot. And now, I don't go a day without, putting in a few lines of code. So that's, that is the evolution, so much to learn. And I think when I said the frame of mind, it's very important to understand that when you go to a bank, you are in a huge organization. There are at least 1,000 people on your floor. That's one of the things you realize, and you interact with so many people. Of course, this year we're all working from home, but on a usual day, you interact with so many people all the time, and if you're perceived to someone who has all these skills, naturally you have a leverage, and people come find you for solutions, and that's how you build a reputation. I think ESSEC did a fabulous job in terms of providing all of us with that skill.
Okay, great. Hey, just one real quick question to you around, because now that you're in Hong Kong, is language ever an issue, or are you picking up, did you pick up Mandarin before you went to Hong Kong, or Cantonese?
No, so I can speak a little bit of Mandarin, but it's not good enough for like a full business conversation, but it's a little bit here and there. But no, I actually, in my role, I don't actually need so much of Mandarin, because it's most of my fund managers I speak to, I speak to a lot of PE funds and all of that, and they're either based in Hong Kong and they speak English, or they are based out of US or in London, or a lot in Singapore as well. So those are the main. If you're in the main financial hub, language is not so much an issue. But at the same time, I would say definitely today, if you're looking at Hong Kong, everybody knows the biggest market is China. So if you know Chinese, and that's a huge advantage that you have. So that's where it's geared towards, I would say.
Okay, great. And I'm going to apologize real quick. There's a massive thunderstorm going on in Singapore right now. So if you hear noise in the background, that's what's going on here. Don, can you talk a little bit about maybe what were the critical skills you picked up during the program?
Sure. So I think apart from the technical skills and that mentioned by previous, like Till or Sivaram, I think what I find really impressive in ESSEC is the positive attitude among other students, because it's a really intensive program, and oftentimes you need to deal with the heavy workload, and at the same time you need to manage to find an internship or a full-time job. So you may find it stressful and sometimes get discouraged from a failed interview. But you always know that the people around you or your professors are willing to provide you with the opportunities, and they will guide you through the interviews, and they will also provide you, and they will provide some industry insight, like the industry jargons or what they usually do in real life cases. So it really helps you during the interviews or during the networking sessions to get close to the industry insight. So I find it pretty important to know this kind of stuff from the coursework. Yeah.
Okay. And because I'm going to stick with you because you touched on interviewing, because my next question is a bit around, how did you, and as you said, the program's intense, you're very busy, but maybe talk a little bit about how did you decide what to do, but more importantly, how did you execute your internship search or your job search? Talk a little bit about maybe the success and maybe the failure that you had as you were trying to land a position after the program.
Sure. So I was actually doing the corporate finance track, and but eventually I ended up doing the sales and trading in my current role. So, I mean, it's not necessary to find a job that you took the major in. I mean, ESSEC offers you a variety of course insights, so you get to explore different aspect of the financial industry. So you don't have to necessarily limit your job search in one, maybe one area like private equity or sales and trading. You can open up to other opportunities whenever it arises. And of course, if you are determined to do, for example, sales and trading, and what I observe or what I do from my personal experience is that you can actively approach to alumni from the industry, and also you can approach the professors. And oh, by the way, it's like we have some courses which are taught by the industry professors, and whenever they have any openings in their banks or in their team, and they were more than happy to let you know the opportunities and maybe refer you to the job. So just keep an open mind and talk to people from different aspects of the industry. I think eventually you will get something out of your networking and out of the active research.
Okay, great. Maybe tell us a little bit about your internship search. I know you went directly into an intern, and did it go smooth, or were there some hiccups along the way? What did it look like?
So before joining ESSEC, I already knew that I wanted to work in the financial markets industry. So I think it was helpful for me because since the beginning of the program, I was able to start doing my application in sales and trading. But also I think what was very useful during this program was at the beginning, I think it was at the end of August, like at the beginning of the program, we had a training by Alumni, and they really walk us through the process of summer internship, graduate programs, and a job in finance, basically. So I think it was very useful to understand the technicity of all of this complex process to apply in investment banking. And also, we really realized in the beginning of the program that the process was extremely long, and it was also a process on a rolling basis. So meaning that the sooner you're starting your application, the more chance you will get to have some interview in all of those banks. So yeah, I think it really helps to start early to do your application. But even if you still don't know, because for instance, in my cohort in 2018, a lot of people were coming from different backgrounds, so they didn't know at all if they wanted to work in trading or more in M&A, in ECM or DCM. But I think it's important to know as soon as possible which path of finance you want to work in, because it's very different things. Like if you want to work in M&A or in sales and trading, the process can be a bit different, and the timing also can be different. So I think, timing is key. And also, I think, as Dan mentioned, it's really important to contact your alumni and use the ESSEC network, because honestly, I think that whatever you want to do in finance, I'm pretty sure you will find someone who did our master program and who is doing this job. So I think it can be really important to use this network and to contact people and to get some precious tips, not only because I know a lot of students are contacting alumni just to check their resume or to check their motivation letter. I think it's more important to contact them to have more deep question on how they are working, the working lifestyle, and to understand basically what the skills they need to develop during this program to be able to do this job. So ask questions to the network and start your application early. It's super important.
Okay, great. Definitely agree. Start early helps a lot. So, Siva, can you tell us a bit about your journey after, or I guess during the course, but to find your position?
Sure. So for me, it was a little bit different because I had done a few years of work experience. I didn't want to go down the internship track and so on, but I still did try. But it wasn't very successful, and I knew why it wasn't. So that wasn't my area of focus. So I was looking more on a full-time role, which was a lot more difficult. But that was more networking and meeting people, sharing what you've done, what you learned in school and so on, and what you can bring to the table for the new team, right? So I did a lot of that. And for me, it clicked because when I was on my study trip in Hong Kong, I actually asked the hiring manager out for coffee. And, one coffee turned into 6 interviews in 1 week while I was in Hong Kong. And then, I came back and then I got the offer about a month later. So I got my offer just before I ended the course. So that was, imagine if you're doing the course, right? The first 8 months, you're panicking a little bit because you haven't gotten a job. And 1 week before your finals, you get a job and you're the happiest person in the room. So I think that is a little bit of a journey. Yeah.
So I'm a bit curious. So before you had that coffee, were you already pretty actively networking, or was it just an opportunistic moment for you?
No, I was actively networking as well, but okay. This was honestly opportunistic moment because I knew he was based in Hong Kong, and I asked him out for coffee. And sure, he was impressed, and I think he was more impressed because of what I'd learned in ESSEC as opposed to what I brought in my previous experience, and I think that was the key in terms of getting me this job, I would say.
Okay, great. Menglin?
It has been a while since I applied for a job, so I tried to memorize. I highly agree to what the Sivaram has mentioned. I think for short term, you need some luck, let's say, to find a job that suits you perfectly and you love everyone in the team and it gives you some long-term motivation. I think you definitely need some luck. However, the luck comes with the persistence. So if you are trying really hard and if you are positive always, you will get a job that is good. I think ESSEC is a very good platform that will equip you with a lot of opportunities. So I think what I did of my job or of my internship research was I am a little bit alternative, let's say, and I didn't go to any big banks at the beginning, or I didn't even target them. I wanted to go into buy side, and I did my research with very much focus on buy side. So I used job platforms in continental Europe, and I also used the LinkedIn a lot. Very much focused on buy side in continental Europe. I had some opportunities such as a corporate VC, and also my current job, and also a French private equity. So using one of these job platforms, I think helps, especially if you are not targeting, I think, graduate program, etc. And I totally agree that do your network to the extent possible. I mean, but not bothering people, not annoying people. You should really be careful when you reach out to people. Be humble, be polite, because I think everyone is very busy. And especially nowadays, right? I'm right now on the other side of the table, and I get annoyed if I just receive a blank message and to connect. I mean, do your research and spend time. I mean, I have also made some mistakes before, so I would recommend everyone to spend a bit more time to do some research and to ask some smart questions when you reach out to people. And alumni definitely would like to help you, and they also have experienced this period of their career, right? So they know it's difficult to get started, and I mean, we are very happy to help. So use the LinkedIn and use the job search platform, and be persistent, be positive.
Okay, great advice, actually. Can I ask you one more question, though? Because for Europe specifically, what job search platform do you recommend for people that are potentially looking for jobs in Europe? Is there anything specific that you would recommend?
Not really. I think LinkedIn is nowadays becoming stronger and stronger. So you can find a lot of on LinkedIn, and you can also, in Germany, there are some other platforms like Indeed or Master or Stepstones. But I think LinkedIn is already very, very good nowadays.
Okay, great. Okay, we still have a little bit of time, but I'm gonna move to my final question. If we have a bit more time, I'll add another question at the end. But I would like to stick with you because you already talked about basically clean energy, and you already made one recommendation to people that are here today about maybe ideas that they could do moving forward. And so I just want to, somebody in the audience, what's your advice to them? If anybody thinking about moving into finance or maybe coming to ESSEC, what advice would you leave them with?
You mean a general advice to coming into finance?
Yeah, general advice. Somebody that's thinking about coming to ESSEC to get a master in finance, what would you recommend to them?
I think it's really important that you get to know about yourself earlier and better than you think you already know. I mean, it's a specific topic for me, right? Because I come from China, come from a very, very small city in China. I think ESSEC also has a lot of Chinese students, so maybe my advice would be quite relevant. I mean, in China, I went to my university, with my parents' guidance only. So they said, okay, do accounting. Accounting is good for a girl. Just get to accounting. It secures your job. It's very good. So I didn't really know. I mean, I also come from a very small city, very, very small city in China. So I didn't know what jobs are there in financial industry. I had no idea. And I also didn't know that I might not be suitable for accounting. I might not want to work in auditing, etc. So I spent quite a lot of time, right, to discover myself and to know what I'm good at and what I might be good at and what I like. And I think took some detour, let's say. So I think to get to know what you really like, what motivates you on the long term, and what you might be good at is very important to start your career, because otherwise, yes, you might find a job through this, kind of arming training of ESSEC in finding a job. You will find a job, but would you like it? Would you be happy? Does it bring you happiness throughout the long term? It's a big question mark. And getting a job is only the start of your career, not the end. So I think getting to know yourself a bit more and try to ask you these questions would really be helpful on the long term.
Okay, great. And I'm just curious, what did your parents think when you decided to go to ESSEC?
They are quite open-minded because, I think they are open-minded. It's a very bold decision of me because I already had my master in China. And I mean, to them, okay, for a girl, you should find a job and get married, etc. So it's a bold decision. I said, I want to go to Europe. I want to study in Europe, and I want to also work in Europe. So it's a bit, I think, a bit shocking for them for a while, but at the end of the day, right, they are very open-minded parents. And I mean, that's the reason also I am more open, or I am also open-minded. Otherwise, they couldn't have this kind of a trait, right? So they are surprised, but they supported me.
Okay, great. I think you touched on a key point. With postgraduate programs, a lot of times we see people that got a bachelor degree that maybe didn't know themselves or know exactly what they were getting themselves into. So very good advice. Siva, what's your advice for somebody that's thinking about a master in finance right now?
Sure. So I would say finance is a very interesting space. There are plenty of pockets and facets you can go into, as Larry had shown you in the slide earlier. It's a wonderful place, but at the same time, it's very demanding. Regardless of where you are, and the stakes are pretty high, right? So people will, be very tough on you, especially in your early days, right? So that's something that you've got to realize, because it's not as it seems in the movies, right? You watch Wolf of Wall Street or something like that, you get excited, but on a day-to-day basis, you need to understand there's a lot of work going on. And whether you're sales and trading, investment banking, M&A, it doesn't matter where you are, or even if in asset management, right? Because I know that I deal with a lot of asset managers, and they are expected to do the same work as us. It's a back and forth. So it's very rigorous, and at the same time, if you take a master's in finance, do expect the course itself to be extremely rigorous, because that is it's as intense as it comes. I can tell you this, having gone through that a few years back now, but it was extremely rigorous. I recall the memory. So it's not exactly a walk in the park. Just be sure that it's good to have the idea that you'd like to get into finance. It's wonderful. We welcome more young people into the field, and especially today, we're going into this whole ESG. Everyone is focused on ESG, right? To get you, today we're doing so many carbon bonds where otherwise we would never have done in the past, right? These are wonderful things that we're doing, and we need more people. And if you have great ideas, we want you there. But at the same time, understand what you're getting into, because it is very important that you can live with yourself in a few years, because a lot of the time, you see juniors coming in 1-2 years, and they said, finance is not for me, and then they go on to do other things. Of course, they go on to do wonderful things as well, but it's sad to see them leave, because it's not what they had imagined when they first joined the bank and so on. So I would say that's it. But sometimes it's journey, life. You go through it, you experience it, you like it, and you move on. And sometimes people adapt really well. I have some junior colleagues who never did finance, actually, and they're surviving and they're doing all right. So it's really on each of us.
Okay, great. On the ESG side, is it straight line growth in ESG activities, or is it exponential? How much of your focus now is on ESG?
It's exponential. Like everything we do today has to have an ESG. So, like for example, like I do many structured deals in Singapore as well, and some of them are public. You can go check them out, right? And all of them, I would say today the client will come and say, I want an ESG label on it, and how do I get it? And we need to be able to advise them in terms of what you need to do to get it, because there are twofolds, right? If they get it, they get discounts from governments and so on. So they want to have access to that part of the market. At the same time, a lot of investors are coming in, and they're looking at, because investors are getting the cash from people who are concerned about the environment as well, and they are having limitations in terms of what they can invest in. So gone are the days where you can throw money at coal and get your returns. Today it doesn't work that way, right? So you have to get you have to save the planet in what you do. And if we step up as a financial institution and provide that service on both ends, and right now I'm actually working a really interesting deal in Europe for oil and gas company that's going to make a lot of ESG offerings. So they're going to convert all their pollutants into like good carbon, right? So that's a very interesting deal that I'm working on, and a lot of investors are really keen on their deal, because that's how they see us moving on to the next phase in how they approach deals as well today.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's fascinating, the transition that's going on. So thank you for that. Till, any final words of advice for somebody thinking about getting a master in finance?
Yes, so I think that finance, as Sivaram said, like it's a super challenging environment, but it's also something extremely exciting. I think it's if you check all the different jobs that we have in finance, it's huge. Like I'm pretty sure you will find something that is interesting for you. You will find a center of interest in one of all of those jobs. I think it's important to try to do internship like before starting a full-time role. I think it's super important to discover the real world of finance, not only through the courses that we have at ESSEC, but also by doing a professional experience in this to see if you can fit, if your personality can fit with finance. Also, you know, with the summer internship program, I think if you manage to get one of those programs, you will have a really nice exposure of all of the different jobs that we have. For instance, for me, in a trading floor, you will have an exposure in trading, in structuring, in sales, in all of the different asset classes that we have. So I think it gives you a good, you really can see the day-to-day life of these people working on those jobs. And you can really see if you can project yourself on the long-term horizons on one of those jobs. And you know, I'm very happy to have this opportunity still in the graduate program to be able to continue to do rotation in different jobs. I think it simply gives you more chance to find the jobs that can fit perfectly with you. So I really recommend people to join this program. And also, you know, even if you for people who didn't study finance before, like during my program in London at Citi, a lot of people studied different topics like financial engineering, like mathematics, statistics, literature, like everything. I'm pretty sure like you will see, even if you don't have a finance background, you can really like learn on a day-to-day basis on the work that you're doing, and you will pick up tips. If you're passionate about something, if you have a strong interest about something, even if you don't did the proper study initially to work on this job, you will be able to succeed and have a successful career. So yeah, I think finance is always a good start, even if you don't want to project yourself on a 10 years horizon working in financial markets. I think it's always a good start because you're developing a lot of different skills in these challenging jobs, and you can, I'm pretty sure you can join other industry after finance.
Okay, great. And I just realized I've asked about Hong Kong and Germany, but I haven't asked you about London. So what are you enjoying London with Brexit, everything else? But what are your thoughts about somebody that maybe wants to work in London?
So yeah, to be honest, London it's fascinating because it's a big financial centers. You have people coming from all of the different backgrounds. For instance, at Citi, we have people coming from Singapore. We have people coming from France, from the US. So it's a really international environment, multicultural environment. So I feel that for your personal life point of view, it's super interesting because you're meeting a lot of people. I have to admit, like, because of the COVID, it was quite challenging, you know, to start a job working remotely sometimes. For instance, for my last rotation, everything was in remote, so I never met my team physically. So it can be challenging because, you know, it's difficult to project yourself on a job if you don't work, you know, on the office, and if you don't work your manager, if you don't work your colleague, if you don't meet your colleague, like it can be difficult. But you know, now I'm going back to the office, so I realized that yeah, even if we have like the Brexit, and even if the weather is like it don't like in Singapore, like it can be it's always raining, like in London the weather is not beautiful, but you know you're meeting nice people and you're learning a lot. So I think it's an exciting way to start a career, and I really recommend people to start doing their application in London and also in Paris. Because of the Brexit now, a lot of jobs are moving as well in France. So I think we are quite lucky to be graduated from ESSEC, because you know I think you can really pass all the screening of the bank when you're graduated from ESSEC. So it can really help when you're going to start your application in Europe generally.
Okay, great. Okay, Dan, can you give us your final thoughts, your final pieces of advice?
Sure. So I guess my advice would be to experience as much as possible, because during my study in ESSEC, I actually took up a part-time job in VC focusing on investing in medical stuff. And it was only during that period of time when I realized that I'm actually not interested in corporate finance, which is the track that I chose. So, I mean, that leads me to eventually get a job in the financial markets. So I think it's best to, at least I experienced what job would be like in corporate finance. And then I know that where my truly passion, like my real interest is. So I guess it's best to just experience and try as many opportunities as possible, and eventually you will learn something. You will know and learn something out of it.
Okay, great. So I just got the time warning that we're getting towards the end. So just to wrap up a little bit, I want to first of all thank all four of you for taking time on your Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon to join us today. I think great advice around deep technical skills, but learning a lot about soft skills along the way as well, and really interesting to learn about your journey through ESSEC and then afterwards as well. So I really want to thank you for being here today. And at this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Miko. I think she has some final words to say to the audience. Hi, Miko.
Hi, thank you very much, Larry, and all the speakers spending a great, lovely time together. You have heard from the speakers, everyone. The deadline for the last admission round for the highly ranked Master in Finance is on the 26th April this year. You can reach out to our program advisor, Ms. Sonia Lau, for consultation. The consultation link is on the chat room. Do join our next session on job prospects for postgraduate holders, What Lies Ahead, moderated by Larry as well, and together with our EMBA alumni. Simply click on the chat functions for the Zoom link for this session. Once again, thank you very much, everyone, for spending a lovely afternoon with us. Thank you.